Hello and welcome to the home of the Ghost Owl, and it's pre-order day. It's essentially for Warhammer The Old World. You can now see what's on offer, buy what's on offer, and ready for the launch day, which is 20th of January. But it's now 3:10 here in the UK, so I thought we'd take a look at the store and see how things are. So for me personally, I managed to log on to the store this morning. I was put in a queue to join the queue to find that I had then a 45-minute wait, and I thought I got on early. And arriving at 45 minutes, I was able to purchase everything I wanted, which was all the different card packs, the Ravening Hordes, the Forces of Fantasy books, and also the Bretonnian dice. However, at 45 minutes past 10, the main rulebook was sold out. Therefore, I do not have a copy of the main rulebook. And for those that haven't been able to pick up what they wanted this morning, you're now pretty much resigned to going into the store physically and hoping you can get it on the morning of release day. So my understanding is certainly official Games Workshop stores will have stock in the morning, though I expect that to go pretty quick. And there are obviously also your friendly local game stores as well. Obviously, the best thing to do is to be in contact with the people that work there to find out what stock they will have. So we're going to take a look at the Games Workshop store and then some others as well, just to see how they're doing. So, say 45 minutes past 10 this morning, the main rulebook was sold out and I was unable to purchase it. But now, 5 hours after it went up online, let's have a look and see what remains available. So the map of the Old World is still available for £18. I think that's pretty much a niche thing for people that want it. It's poster size. It's got obviously a big thing that you can put up on the wall if you want. Not something I'm personally interested in, but I know there are people out there that will be, but still available. And that one is a limited item. Now, the older sort of plastic kits here, we can see the main ones for the Tomb Kings, all still available, and I don't think that's really a surprise, to be honest. These were available literally right up until the end of Warhammer Fantasy, back, what was it, 8 years ago now. Interesting Cetra, still available, though, as I've said before, he's not a new model, and he's also, I don't think he's that great for given who he is in the lore and everything else, so really I think he could have done with a glow up, and, obviously people clearly aren't desperate to get hold of him, as he is still available. Pegasus Knights also still available, but for a lot of people who are getting into Warhammer The Old World, they'll be buying the Bretonnian box if they want Bretonnians, and of course you do get 3 Pegasus Knights in there, so again, probably not a surprise that they remain available. What else is still available? So we've got the card sleeves still available. As I said in a previous video, not a surprise. Better places to go to pick up a lot of card sleeves for a lot less money, and there are lots of them. I don't know what the quality of the Games Workshop's ones are, but if you look at like the Vault X series, for example, for things like Magic the Gathering, there are some excellent card sleeves there. Many other places to go for these at probably a lesser price and easy to get hold of. Similar to the movement trays, there's obviously lots of places to go to get these at a significantly reduced cost. And for those working on an absolute budget, you can make movement trays out of absolutely anything, including cardboard from cereal boxes reinforced with things like lolly sticks and so on. Bases all still available, and again, no surprise there. Probably not the first thing people are buying. If you're just getting into Warhammer The Old World, again, you'll be getting the starter boxes that has all the bases in it. For those that have old armies, rebasing is probably a long-term project and really only necessary for those people wanting to play in tournaments, or for those that have the OCD that it must be on the right base. Something certainly, I won't be going heavily into this, and I also think there are better places to buy bases from where you can buy more bases for less cost, something that I'll be doing over, say, a much longer period of time. So they're all the bases still currently available. Now we've got books that are still available. So the Warhammer The Old World, the Force of Fantasy Index and the Ravening Horde Index are still available. Clearly a lot of those were produced. Obviously anyone who's bought a starter box will need to buy also one of these books to use that army. So, all the starter box people would have needed it. And then also people that were just buying the main rulebook, which went very quickly indeed, which I was actually surprised by, given there's a main rulebook in the starter boxes as well. So the main rulebook's actually gone out pretty quickly, but the index is still available. So not quite sure why that is. Maybe there was just a lot produced. But still available. The arcane journals also for Bretonnia and Khemri are still available, which, again, I'm not 100% surprised about that. If people have dropped £150 plus on the starter box, plus they've dropped £30 on this rule book, they're already in at 180, and if you've gone for the Tomb Kings of Khemri, it's even more, over £200. You're not forced to buy this early on. You don't need it from day one. In fact, you don't need it at all unless you want some of those extra bits. So overall, not a surprise again that these are still in stock. Higher priority items, I suspect, for people on the list. Also, the Warhammer The Old World dice, the only Old World dice specifically available. Bretonnia and Khemri clearly are gone because we're now into the out of stock stuff. But the Old World dice set is still available. Again, wasn't the flavour I was going for. The blue doesn't look too bad. In fact, these would actually make quite nice colour dice for something like Thousand Suns, let's say, but in 40k. But not the flavour I prefer, the Bretonian dice personally. But these are still available. And that marks the last item. So 5 hours in, that is still available. So let's see what has gone out of stock. So the Bretonian Kingdom of Bretonnia starter set, that is now out of stock. £155, and not a surprise that the starter boxes have gone out of stock. I mean, they haven't gone out of stock quite as quickly as 40k boxes, but we often see starter boxes, things like Indomitus and everything, went out of stock incredibly quickly. 40k, obviously, an order of magnitude higher than something like Warhammer The Old World, but still, within 5 hours, and I don't exactly know when these went out of stock, but certainly within 5 hours, all the Bretonian starter boxes are gone. Stuff being out of stock has, it's a double-edged sword. One, people can't get it, but two, does go to show that the popularity of Warhammer The Old World at least supports Games Workshop's estimations, and potentially Games Workshop have underestimated the popularity of this. Handmaiden the Lady, out of stock as well. Not a surprise, actually a really nice looking miniature, but also a new one in Forge World resin. So again, not a surprise that's gone. A lot of the old guard Bretonian players, nobody's going to have this model, so they will have wanted to pick that up. The core set for the Tomb Kings, £175, that is also now out of stock. Again, just like the Bretonian one, you want to get into it, and again, it's showing the popularity of Warhammer The Old World, at least meeting, if not exceeding, Games Workshop's expectations. As we look down through the kits here, certainly these three are all new kits. Again, it's not a surprise to me that new kits are out of stock. They're new, nobody has them, so even the players that have the entire armies from back in the day, they don't have these models. These Tomb Swarms are particularly nice to replace old Tomb Swarms. A questing knight paladin on foot, he looks actually particularly nice. And so do these. So, people don't have these. They may have other versions of these, but these are essentially new models that old guard players will probably want to pick up. So again, no surprise these new models are out of stock. Okay, we're coming on to some older models now. So the Leash Priest here, out of stock. Again, that doesn't particularly surprise me with the Leash Priest here. My understanding is he was only ever made in Finecast, so the opportunity to pick him up in metal is a good one, and a lot of people will want to pick up the metal version over the Finecast one, and certainly my Finecast one had a huge amount of issues with bubbles, destroying detail, bending in the staff, and overall not great miniature. So not a surprise people want to pick up the metal one of that. A Shabti, I'm not a surprise about that. When these went to last chance to buy, they went out incredibly quickly. A Shabti, if I again casting my mind back many years, always seemed to be difficult to get hold of. They were often out of stock. So again, it doesn't surprise me that people have rushed to pick these up. £50 for 3 models is on the pricier side, but these are quite sizable models. They're in metal, and we know how much Games Workshop charges, and I'm not going to get into that debate. But suffice to say, all of the Ashabti are out of stock, and again, not a surprise. They weren't that easy to come by, even when they were a regular feature on the web store. They were often out of stock. So the Grail Knights also all gone now, both the Command and the main set of Grail Knights. Again, not a surprise. These are key units. They're iconic units. And people probably looking to pick those up. If you've picked up a starter box, for example, picking up a set of Grail Knights would also be, quite a good thing, and something a little bit different from what's in your starter box of mainly core options. So no surprises there. Mounted Yeoman not necessarily had been the most useful of the models or miniatures in previous editions. However, these, to my knowledge, are the last of the 5th edition style of Bretonnians, which a lot of people actually preferred the 5th edition style to the 6th edition resculpts of Bretonnia. So, a lot of people probably wanted to pick these up from a nostalgia purpose. We'll wait to see how good they are in the book. But you can see here, no surprises here. The Mounted Yeoman have gone out of stock, and that's the Command and the main models. Battle Pilgrims and the Grail Reliquae going out of stock is an interesting one for me. They're definitely not my flavour. Unless they are outstanding and I'm playing in a min-max game, I have actually no intention of picking these up. It really just isn't my flavour of models overall. But so a little surprising, these are out of stock. Clearly, people want to pick them up. But they haven't been available for a long time. But not something I'll be looking to pick up personally. Like I say, unless they're absolutely outstanding from a min-max perspective. But a little bit surprised that they are out of stock so quick. The Battle Standard Bearer on Royal Pegasus, new model, so he's clearly out of stock. And you can see here the Tomb King and Battle Standard Bearer, the Forge World. New models, again, I'm not surprised new models are out of stock because nobody has them, so old and new players alike will both be wanting these. Clearly, though, people have gone in pretty heavy with their wallets, voting with their wallets in terms of how much enthusiasm they have for Warhammer The Old World, and hopefully I actually hope it's a bit of a wake-up call for Games Workshop that how much of Warhammer The Old World is it a specialist game versus the other systems they have, and actually how many people want to get into this. Right, so Tomb Kings of Khemri die set, that is gone. So that is now out of stock as well. And that will be, it says temporarily out of stock, which is interesting. Normally these are limited. In fact, you see all the items here of the card sets and dice are nearly always limited. But it's not saying that they are. All right, so it just says temporarily out of stock online. Now, if we look further up, in fact, if we look to the map, for example, it said available while stocks last. There's no sign of that on anything else, just online only. So maybe, and it's a big maybe, there will be reprints of the cards. But certainly in the past, custom dice and cards have been available while stocks last. So whether this will get updated later, I have no idea. Then we've got all the card sets here. So these 4 card packs, I managed to pick up all of these. That was 45 minutes in, so I don't know when they went out of stock, but they were available 45 minutes after 10, but 5 hours after 10 they're not. So that's obviously all the Laws of Magic, the common magic items, and the Khemri and Bretonnian specific ones, all out of stock. Bretonnian dice, they were available 45 minutes after 10. I managed to pick those up, but now they are clearly out of stock as well. And the Warhammer The Old World rulebook, the main rulebook itself, that went out of stock in under 45 minutes because I got on the website 45 minutes after the pre-orders went up in the queue, because I was queuing for a queue and then it put me 45 minutes in. And and yeah, it was sold out. So really disappointed that I couldn't pick up a book. Yes, okay, I think there's going to be an EPUB version. No, I don't like that because I like the physical books. Personal thing, and older gamer. We just like the physical things. So yeah, really disappointed I couldn't pick that up. And I was doing my best. I don't know how some people managed to get on there so early, but I was doing my best given the fact that I had a family. My daughter was going horse riding, and I'm trying to get on the shop at the same time. These fear of missing out releases and limited stock is a real pain for people that have families or work weekends. I can tell you, just to get on the website to queue for over an hour and all this sort of stuff, it's a real pain for the average adult, I would say. Okay, so that's the Warhammer website, but let's take a look at some others and see how they're doing. So we're now here on Wayland Games. I'll just do a quick refresh there. Wayland Games here. Wayland, another UK game store. Here we can see, so the Pegasus Knight still available to pre-order with them, but again, all of their core sets are gone. Their arcane journals are also gone, as are all of the dice. So even the Old World dice are gone, because they've got the notify when in stock. They've still got Tomb Guard available. They've still got a Battle Standard Bearer and Royal Pegasus. That's still available here, but not on the Games Workshop site. The movement trays and all of this, that's all still available, as are the indexes still available, and they still have availability of the main rulebook. So again, if you're someone that shops at Wayland or lives nearby, it says they still are able to take pre-orders for the rulebook, even though you cannot on the Games Workshop official web store. So Wayland, out of some things, so like out of the arcane journals, but they still have availability on the main rulebook. So something to think about there. Element Games, another big one for the UK in terms of a web store and physical store, but it does say here, a notice regarding Warhammer The Old World. We're disappointed to report that stock allocations are very low for all products in this release. Therefore, we will not be able to offer them for online sale, and we'll have very limited stock in our physical stores. We have been made aware that most products are planned to be restocked in the future, but we haven't been given a firm date. So again, one there that I would recommend, get in touch with a store if this is your local store, and see what they're going to have on release day. And you either going to your friendly local game store like these, or you're going to your official Warhammer store to see what they've got in stock, and probably queue at the door in the morning for the release, and see if you can nab something quickly before it sells out of the physical stores as well. And then the last one here, which is my friendly local game store, a store in Poole in Dorset, called Entoyt. I thoroughly recommend them as someone I use them regularly. So a great store to go to. But in terms of what they've got from stock-wise, they do still have the Warhammer The Old World rulebook available, but they are now out of the indexes, which is interesting, which you can still get on the Warhammer official store. They are sold out of the Bretonnian starter, and their Bretonnian Arcane Journal also sold out, but they can still take pre-orders for the Tomb Kings. It seems Bretonnia being more popular there than Tomb Kings in that area, and we are looking at different areas around the country with these stores. But they still have Tomb King starters available, Arcane Journal as well. They've got some new miniature available there, the Bretonnian Battle Standard on Royal Pegasus, again, still available. The Necrosphinx, interestingly, though, is sold out in Entoyment, as are the Tomb Guard. Movement trays, modular movement trays are sold out, which is a surprise. I really don't recommend these in terms of bang for buck, shall we say. And if you are going to use any movement tray, don't forget your magnets and a metallic surface to magnetize them too. What else in terms of all the custom dice are sold out, no surprise there. And that brings us to the end of the Old World stuff that is here. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Warhammer The Old World, in essentially the main rulebook, sold out in under an hour. Much of the content that is available this is just for the UK, on the main Warhammer store is sold out, and in fact for a lot of the friendly local game stores as well is also sold out. So if you're going to be waiting 2 weeks, it'll be interesting to have a look at this in a couple of weeks and see what's left. But I would suggest not waiting too long if you can, and if you can afford it. If you can afford it, that's the key thing. Don't go crazy with it. All of this, the starter boxes, the books, the models, they're going to be available for a long time. There's no need to go crazy and rush if you can't afford it financially. The only things that I think will be truly limited will be the cards and the dice, and honestly, you can live without those. So just a friendly reminder there. But yes, in under an hour, lots of things sold out, and I think that's a testament to the popularity of Warhammer The Old World, and it will be interesting to see how popular and how successful this will have been for Games Workshop over the coming weeks, months and year. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Let me know why in the comments down below. And as always, if you want to see more content, please hit that subscribe button. Free for you to do, means a big deal for me, so thank you in advance. You've been watching The Ghost Hour. Tune back in as we take a look at some more Warhammer The Old World content over the next few days.